Yes.
So, my dear, this is going to be a roller coaster ride.
I quite enjoy roller coasters, so
And you don't know what is expecting you, but
nope.
it's an experiment.
Mhm.
And with this experiment, I would like to show people a different part of me.
Okay.
So, I think part of us and the way we express ourselves are the languages that we speak.
Mhm.
Many people haven't seen me speaking English on this channel, but interestingly, most of my friends and family right now, at least in the last 12 years, have experienced me much more in English than in German.
Hmm.
So I think this is a very interesting experiment now for people also to see if they get to know me from a different side when I speak English. And that's why I would like to talk to you about the way languages shape our identity
I will.
and also the way how our identity shapes our language skills.
Sounds awesome. Can I ask you really quickly before we get started on all of it? Do you feel like a different person in English?
Um, I have thought about this question for many times when people ask me, because there is this famous quote from Goethe, or I don't know who said, like, you are that many people as many languages you speak. And I don't think that I am a different person. I think there are different parts of me that are shaped through the languages I speak. And I think I can shape myself as a person differently and allow myself to have different experiences depending on the language I speak. And because then automatically I choose to speak to different people.
Okay.
And I think a very interesting proof for that is when you know somebody and you met that person in one language, even if you're able to talk to them in different languages, sometimes and mostly you don't. You choose to speak to them in the language, mostly in the same language that you met them in. But sometimes you have a language of preference, whatever that is. And I don't think that that's an accident.
Mhm.
I think it happens for a reason, or we subconsciously choose a language to talk to with different people. And I think our experiences shape us through the language we speak. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Do you think I'm a different person in English than I am in
Yes.
German?
But
Just
it's not a different person. Okay, so it's not a different person. It's a different part of you that I get to know.
I
I
see.
think languages are like clothes. So you are the same person, but when you wear sports clothes, I see you differently. And when you wear working clothes, or I don't know, when you dress up for a gala or something, I will see you differently. You will be you,
Yeah.
but I will experience you in a different way.
That's fair. I mean, I feel like I tell the same stories, but they probably come out in different ways.
Yeah.
Or I might say more in English than I would say in German, or yeah.
But also I think it's like clothes. They shape also your mood. Some people say like, oh, I need to put on my Nike shoes and I need to wear my Adidas clothes in order to go for a run. And I'm like, how is that putting you in the mood? We don't know. Sometimes it's a song that we hear and that creates an emotion in us that makes us do something or think of something, and that initiates a certain behavior.
Yeah.
And I think this is the same when we learn languages or when we speak in languages, because in different languages, we always use some language,
Yeah.
but it shapes you in a way that it provokes a certain behavior. And as teachers, we know it, we talk about language behavior. We don't talk just about sentences and words and pronunciation,
Mhm.
because we have different situations that we have to manage linguistically, but also through our behavior. And that is, I think, the interesting part of the whole process, which many people don't observe. They think they're learning a language for like a sports, like you do a salsa class. You go to salsa class, you learn some steps. At the beginning, it's kind of, oh, okay, I don't know what I'm doing here. And then you start enjoying the music. And then once a week, you go to your salsa class to get some movement. But it's not just about Mundgymnastik. Like, it's not, we're not just doing, what do you say, that mouth gymnastics?
Yeah, so I don't know. We wouldn't say that. You're exercising your voice. Yeah, I don't know what you would say.
In
That's
Bulgarian, we say "Prava si vyatar na ustat." It's like you do wind on your mouth. Like open and close it so that the wind comes in and out. But there's no point of that, right?
Yeah. I think your music metaphor is working a little bit better for me. So like I guess regardless of what I have on my body, I either feel good or bad. It's not like I like feel like a different person when I'm exercising and in my exercise clothes is when I'm, wearing a fancy dress or something. Like I either feel good or not. So it's like these are my favorite exercise clothes or these are my ratty gross exercise clothes. These are my nice dress or this is a outfit that I don't feel super proud of. It's like for me, it's like I like this outfit or I don't. It doesn't really matter. But the music one, like that brings up different feelings. Like certain music makes you feel pumped up, like you want to like move or dance or exercise or you're excited, and other music is like sad and thoughtful, and that's maybe what I'm seeing. Like I feel like a different, like the languages will bring up a different feeling in me. Like in when I speak English, I feel like very American. I feel like Chicago. I feel like I can say, what my people say, And when I speak German, I maybe am a little bit more thoughtful about what I say, honestly, because I have to think a little bit more to express myself in German. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not saying what I want to say, but I'm probably a little bit more thoughtful about what I'm saying, which might be a good thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to take notes of what we're saying because I'm interested to see what would be if we can create, like, at the end, some outline of ideas or most important tricks
Okay.
to answer the question. So, how do you think do languages shape your personality? When you think of the languages that you have ever learned, how do you think about them? Do you think about them as tools? Do you think about them in terms of the experience they gave you? Do you think of them in terms of people that you were able to communicate with,
It's a really interesting question.
or
I
places?
I want to say it definitely has something to do with the people. I always felt more confident speaking Spanish, for example, than I've ever felt speaking German. But I don't think it's because my Spanish has ever been so much better than my German is now. I mean, my German is very good. But I think that people are just like, no matter what you do when you speak Spanish, oh my God, you're amazing. And German people aren't that friendly. Like, yeah.
You
I mean,
speak about good Deutsch.
yeah, I know. I speak good German, but that's all you get. Like in Spanish, they're like super impressed. They're just like,
So it's the emotion that people convey you with what they say.
they're just so excited that you're speaking
Yeah.
Spanish. And I guess I always just felt like, okay, then I can just talk and I don't have to even ever think about making a mistake because nobody cares anyway. And I think that like level of like just completely being able to let go of all the fear actually made me so much better. I mean, I think the fear a lot of times will really I make mistakes all the time and I hear them in German and I'm knowing I'm making a mistake. And it's like, I think I'm just nervous right now and I just can't help it.
Already thinking about German makes you nervous. Okay, so then obviously it's emotions. So let's think about the emotions. What are the emotions you connect with the Spanish language and the experiences you have made in Spanish? You said excitement. That was
I always felt
beautiful.
extremely welcome. Like it was usually really fun situations too. To be fair, I never worked in Spanish. I only had fun in Spanish. I worked in a bar. So it was like I was serving margaritas. Didn't feel quite like work. So yeah, I felt like a lot of the Spanish experiences were just a lot of fun. You know, I was in South America for a long time. To be fair, I did teach in Spanish, but that was also, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I do connect a lot of just like fun and relaxation with Spanish for whatever reason. But I think the biggest thing is I never felt like anyone was judging me ever, like not for a second.
But that you say now in comparison with German.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so let's see a little bit with Spanish. So excitement,
yeah.
free time, relaxation, you said.
Lots of joking. They're very funny. I mean, I just feel like they always have jokes all day.
And who are they?
I worked at a Mexican, so I used to work in a Mexican bar in Chicago for quite a while. So a
Oh,
lot
in
of
Chicago.
yeah, a lot of the people that I worked with, yeah, but I was the only Latino or non-Latino person there, you know. So yeah, so that was really fun because I got to speak Spanish, which was like I felt like a special perk to the job. And you know, again, I was working at a bar, so everyone who was there wanted to be there, and it was mostly like a fun atmosphere. And then, you know, I was in South America for a year, and that was also mostly vacation, and I taught in Peru for a while. And that was like a fun adventure though as well. So I don't
Hmm.
feel like I talked about a lot of heartbreak. I don't feel like we complained, like I haven't complained in Spanish. Not really ever. Isn't that funny? Now that I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it, like it was totally different topics.
Well, you never had to complain.
Yeah, probably.
All right. So was Spanish the first language that you learned?
Hmm.
First
Yeah,
foreign language.
yeah.
Okay. And then what made you even want to learn German then?
So I started taking Spanish in sixth grade, and then when I was in high school, I also took a French class, and I wasn't super into it. And then I just had a free period, and I knew that it would be really easy German because I already spoke Spanish and French, and I knew how to conjugate verbs. I knew what nouns and subjects and direct objects, like I knew I would crush it. So I thought, okay, free hour senior year, why not take a German class? And then when I was at college, I did the same thing again. I thought like, "Oh, I'll just take a German class for fun." And the German department offered me 30 grand to study German. And it's like, that's not something that you say no to. That's a lot of money. So yeah.
Geld. What do you say in English for when you have to pay or they give you money because you did something bad to compensate for that?
I don't know. What do we
I'll look it up. Schmerzensgeld. Um, in English. Personal injury compensation.
Yeah, I'm not surprised I didn't come up with that one on my own.
Okay, like compensation for personal suffering. That's how it translates.
Are you saying that was my studies?
Well, who gives you like this 30 grand?
A rich German man.
To make you learn
Yeah.
German. Okay, so you
I
said
don't know.
like, let's do it.
Yeah, why not? I mean, for that kind of money, I was having fun with it. I've always had fun learning German. It's
Okay.
a challenge, but I've always had fun.
And how did it change you as a person? What did the German language give you? What kind of emotion?
Okay, so I have thought about this a lot actually. I even had to write an essay because I studied in Leipzig for one summer, and the topic was kind of like why are you studying German? And so my essay was about like Spanish has always been fun, Spanish has always been easy. German has always been the more challenging path, but somehow the challenge has been so rich, like the experience I've just like gotten so much out of it. And I mean, like I really have. I mean, I got a lot of money. I made a lot of friends. My husband is German. My babies are German. I really have gotten a lot out of it. Also, physical things. But yeah,
I
somehow
told you,
the
Schmerzensgeld.
challenges.
Physical pain. I mean, okay. Like, look how you even talk about it. Like the words that you use, like challenge and
Mhm. Yeah, it's true.
okay. So that's what you connect to the German experience or German language experience.
I think so, yeah. It's been a lot more challenges, but yeah, somehow also worth it for sure. Always.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's already your evaluation. I'm just curious
Yeah.
about the emotions because we can turn an emotion, we can use every emotion and put a meaning into it.
Hmm.
I just think it's interesting to look like, did it change your personality? Did it add a facet towards your personality? Or do you think that it is because of your personality that you said, okay, I like fun and cool experiences and I had fun in Spanish, but now I need some challenge because that's who I am.
Potentially. That is entirely possible. I don't know. And it's not like I never had challenges with Spanish, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
but my question is like, do you think that based on personality, some people might not be even able to take that challenge because they're like, I know I
I
have enough
mean,
trouble in my
lots of
life.
people don't try to learn languages. I know Americans here that don't hardly speak any German. They can like get something from the Wochenmarkt and then that's it. And I mean, I don't think that they're super happy living here, but they're not trying to improve their German. So they seem to have found like a level that's enough for them and they're okay with that.
Mm.
I find it very difficult to integrate without like a certain level. Even this morning I was out with 5 women. So we went out for breakfast after yoga and we were all chatting and it was like they are all native speakers and they're all talking very fast. And I was like, I want to say something. It was a little bit of a challenge for me to get a word in. I did, but it wasn't.
They were native speakers of German.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you feel around native speakers of English?
I never think about it. I mean, I understand everything. That's the thing that I find really interesting. Like a lot of times we're watching TV, and my husband will be like, "What did he say?" And either I always understand it, or I don't care that I didn't
Mm.
understand it.
And that's something that maybe it's also a pressure that we put on ourselves, like, because I'm learning a language, I have to use it. I have to prove myself that I'm capable of using the language. And in our native language, we don't have to prove anything. We know that we know it. And there are some people that just talk a lot and then we're just more passive and don't say so much. And we listen if we're interested and we don't listen if we're not interested. And it's like, if in a foreign language we're forced to always participate and prove that we to ourselves that we understand everything and that we can say something about every single topic.
Yeah, well, I also think I've been thinking about this a lot lately, especially like we have so many conversations with the clients about these exact topics of all the situations in which they feel like they can't do something or whatever, or they're so scared of making mistakes. And then you really start noticing like I make mistakes in my native language all the time. I don't understand. I don't
Yes, make
understand things.
mistakes.
Yeah, but I don't understand things in my native language all the time. I read books and there are words that I don't know. This happens. It's not like an unheard of situation that I would read. I read books that I don't even know how to pronounce a word in English because, our spelling is so crazy. And I don't worry about it. I'll look up the word if I really care. And most of the time, because of the context, it doesn't matter. But when you see a word in a foreign language that you don't understand, or you're participating in a conversation and you don't understand something, you immediately assume there's something wrong with me. I made a mistake. I don't know. It's just like I just think there's such a lack of awareness that we make mistakes in our native languages too. We don't understand things in our native languages. I mean, it's something that we don't pay attention to unless somebody pushes us to pay attention to it. But we're constantly aware of what we can and can't do in a foreign language.
And exactly this is why I love to talk to you, because every time I talk to you, I have a new realization about learning languages and about my life. So while I was telling you this, describing that, yeah, people are kind of always putting that pressure on themselves, and you were like, yeah, this is true. I'm like, yeah, but maybe this is exactly what we need as a foreign language learners.
Hmm.
We need to put that extra pressure and push ourselves to be able to understand everything. We need that extra pressure to try to say something about every single topic, and feeling bad that we're not able to pushes us or motivates us to keep working on those language skills, which then at some point become even better than in your native language, because that is the reason why you keep pushing.
I think that is absolutely true until a point, and then at some point you're putting too much pressure on yourself, and then everything is a disaster.
And that is a matter of,
I think it's a matter of balance, of like accepting yourself where you're at and accepting the journey and being able to enjoy the journey and constantly seeing where the opportunities for growth are. Because if you judge yourself too hard, you're not going to say anything. You know, if you're too afraid to make a mistake, you're not going to open your mouth. And we all know that the learners who don't talk, who don't allow themselves to make mistakes, they progress more slowly than people who are brave enough to get out there and make all the mistakes and say everything that they want to say and ask all the questions that they have. I mean, I think there's like a healthy amount of pressure versus too much pressure.
And is that a skill or a
Probably.
personality trait? Like to know how much pressure you should put on yourself, and to recognize, okay, this is my area of growth and not too much.
I mean, that might be more like reflection, I would think, that you're kind of checking in with yourself and seeing where you're at. Am I okay? Is this too much? You know, am I getting lazy? Or am I putting so much pressure on myself that I feel a little paralyzed? You know, because we probably all do all of those things from time to time.
Yeah.
Mm.
And yet there is people that kind of give up.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, enough pressure. I don't need more pressure. I have enough pressure in my life. And that's also super individual. It depends on your life situation, on your phase in life, on outer factors. It's not like a law that at the age of 14 you will be ready for the pressure and at 44 you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it probably also totally depends on outer circumstances as well, what they've got going on in their other areas of their lives and stuff. But, you know, and we also see that again with the clients, like how motivated these people are to really achieve a super high level. You know, most of them aren't okay with being like, I'm good enough. Everyone understands me. That's fine. Like, I'm okay with that. So,
What I think is fascinating is the way we look at languages as part of our lives.
yeah.
And this was part of my initial question, like how do the languages shape our personality and our worldview? Because I think at this point, living over 20 years abroad, speaking different languages, I cannot imagine my life speaking only one language.
No, God, no.
This will be so boring, not just because I stopped thinking, but there will be parts of me missing.
Yeah.
Maybe part of it is the challenge and the struggle that I need to keep me going. I don't know. But it's really boring to speak only one language.
Imagine all the people you wouldn't know.
Imagine all the connections, like the human connections that you couldn't make, because struggling with that same problem makes us part of I would say, a new species. We're really like a species, like a new type of human being that thinks and lives in multiple languages and countries.
Yeah, and kind
cultures.
of navigate multiple cultures, and it is therefore able to see so many different sides of the same situation.
And juggling all the time with different values and understanding different perspectives. And it's like yeah, like a lot, but it's a variety, it's spice of life. It's
Yeah,
I don't know, it's so much. It's so bunt.
totally.
And
Yeah,
that's
it's really you were saying colorful and I was thinking depth, like the you like see the depths of the situations. It's not, like I feel like a lot of people will tell me things about my culture and I'm like, okay, and it's a lot more complicated than that. Is usually my feeling. Like you are basing that on 2 or 5 situations you've experienced, and after 41 years of being an American, I see things in a bit more, you know.
or a bit less American.
Yeah.
The American way. Yeah, but that's it. Like through the language, through living abroad, you start questioning yourself, your values, what you really want, who you really are. It starts a completely new process of personal development because you are forced, if you reject it or not, to think about yourself. Even the question like who you are and where you're from.
And what is home?
And yeah, like people say something, whatever they say to that question, and some are bored by it, some are triggered by it, some invent a new answer every single time.
Mm.
But even that, hearing that question already unlocks a new perspective every single time, or forces you to think about things that you didn't think before. Because in your home country, nobody asks you on a regular basis, where are you from?
Yeah.
And you never even question it. So see how through questions, our way of thinking and believing and feeling changes.
Yeah, totally.
Because
Or
even the question leads to questioning yourself.
mm,
And that can be very beautiful.
totally.
But it can also lead to depression.
Probably, yeah.
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 And it's a process, and there are ups and downs, and it's so multi-layered. It's not just the am I learning the right words for the right situation?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's so much more complicated. Yeah.
And see, this is why I love to talk to you. Not because you understand me, but maybe because you sometimes also challenge my belief of what I say.
Ditto,
Because
girlfriend.
you're able to challenge it.
Yeah.
If I talk and I have the trust and I want that, if I
Mm.
talk to somebody who communicates only in one language, I'm not even gonna go into the conversation because I know I have thought about this so much
Mm.
that no matter what this person is gonna say, I already have the answer of that, which can be very dangerous also. But I mean, we can learn from every person and from every language, from every conversation if we want. But I think it's interesting to talk to people that also played that game in their heads and who are facing those challenges in making different things out of those challenges. And
Yeah.
observing it and seeing it, and to see it also through your eyes, it's something, it's a way of validating but my own thoughts and feelings, but in the same time it's interesting to hear another perspective
It's an
that,
adventure for sure.
that might be new, might be different.
It's really interesting. I don't think that I'm a different person in any language. I think I'm always me, but I think I'm able to access different parts of myself probably in different languages. I certainly have different experiences in different languages. So maybe that's like a way of rounding myself out through the different languages and the different experiences that I'm having. And maybe even the different challenges and how do I react in those challenges and who am I in this situation, because I never had a challenging experience where I couldn't express myself in English really. So it's just even interesting to have that, like, who am I when I don't know how to say what I want to say, what do I do? Do I keep quiet, or do I try to talk around it, or do I try to describe myself? Like, how hard do I fight for my message? Is that even something that's worth it for me? And I mean, it's also circumstantial, but
why would you even put yourself on purpose in this situation to struggle and to want to see how you're going to react?
Oh my God.
Like,
Adventure.
why would we
Adventure. Because it's fun. It's an adventure. I mean, and that I think is really interesting. Like, I love adventure. I even have the word adventure tattooed on my back. But like, I don't think that adventure is always fun. But like the act of like being in all these different life situations and having all these different experiences and feeling like my life is very rich and it's not same shit, different day. I think that is really exciting. Even when sometimes the adventure is not like especially enjoyable.
And for me, it's like always jumping into a different role. And how do I feel being already that person or that role? And what kind of behavior do I need to develop in order to fully experience it? And how do I express myself through that experience? I don't know. Maybe some people do it for the fun. I don't think we all are always excited to learn for fun. Yeah. Sometimes we do it because it's part of who we want to be.
Totally.
Or part of where we want to live, or part of the job we want to do. Like we learn for our jobs new skills, new software that we need to use. So yeah, so is the language. I see it as a tool, because the tool is there to help you. So what is it helping you to do? Experience a certain emotion, or connecting to certain people?
Yeah. Live a full life.
Live a full life. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's interesting also to hear other perspectives of what people think. And everybody who's watching us can write it down in the comments. It will be interesting.
Very.
To see what languages do you speak? What languages do you own? Are those languages really part of who you are?
Yeah.
Or maybe parts of your lives that were shaped by those languages. Yeah. And how did they shape you? What did they show you about yourself? What parts of life did you start like or dislike because of those languages? Yeah. Or with their help. Yeah. That will be fun to see, to read.
Very.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Then let's see.
Can't wait.